Rupert Lowe has certainly ignited the debate over who is here, who should be here, who should be allowed to stay here, what you're actually capable of doing when you're here. Are you skilled or not? How did you get here? And also, and just as important, is under what circumstances you should be removed from here if you become a problem, either criminally or you've got nothing to offer. At the end of the day, there's a very big problem with the way Restore is perceived and Rupert Lowe is perceived, because they've taken an iron rod to the issue that's been allowed to flow out of control for a great many years. And they've turned around and said, well, we're going to sort it. They've got a 113-page document on exactly how they're going to sort it. But on the same token, if you are here, if you've been here for years, you have a job, you have a family, you contribute and pay your way, then you've got nothing to worry about. That's very simple. Now, Nigel Farage was quizzed about this as well in this here, with regard to the position on reforms immigration policy, whether they're anti-immigration or not. Have a listen to this exchange.
The rise of parties with similar views of anti-migration parties across Europe.
So who said I'm an anti-migration party?
Well, you did yourself.
No, I didn't. I said the opposite. I said we're pro-control immigration.
Right-leaning parties.
You asked me about high-skilled people, and I said if they come into Britain, bring high skills, pay taxes, and integrate, I've got no problem. Our brand of politics, my brand of politics, is different to many of the other European parties. All right, let's be clear about that. There are similarities, there are crossover points, but there are differences.
When you talk about being pro-controlled, I mean, in my view, the way we are at the moment, I think it's gone too far, because you have literally millions of English, Scottish, Welsh, Northern Irish who have no hope of getting on the employment ladder, have no hope of getting on, the housing ladder, owning assets and property of their own, and having life difficult because there's been this overemphasis in filling our countries, our areas with people from the outside. And I do believe that to an extent, the inflow does need a reversal of some decline or some description, or, a very, very dramatic slowdown to try and readdress the balance. Now, what interested me was, has Farage always maintained this position throughout? I did a very quick search, which I'll show you here. Let's bring this up. And I basically asked the question, has Nigel Farage ever stated that Reform is an anti-immigration party? And we've got no. Nigel Farage has never stated that Reform UK or Reform is an anti-immigration party. In fact, he's repeatedly and explicitly rejected that label for both Reform UK and his previous parties like UKIP. For example, in January 2025, Bloomberg interview, Farage directly said Reform UK isn't an anti-immigration, while emphasising support for skilled migrants who integrate, pay taxes and contribute. He framed the party's stance as pro-controlled immigration rather than anti. This matches his long-standing position. He has consistently said things like, we are not anti-immigration, we are anti-uncontrolled mass immigration, or we want immigration, but we should be able to judge it on quantity and quality. He positions Reform as focused on stopping illegal crossings. Well, I can tell you now that's not going to happen, because that's the same thing that everybody else parrots. Reducing net migration and prioritising integration, not opposing immigration in principle. I have a problem with prioritising integration because we've been here. It doesn't work. Media outlets and critics routinely describe Reform as hard right, anti-immigration, led by Farage, However, Farage himself avoids and pushes back against the anti-immigration framing to present a more moderate image on legal migration. Searches of interviews, speeches and news turned up 0 instances where he's ever called Reform or UKIP an anti-immigration party. Now, I have a problem with words like integrate, and I have a problem with words like controlled, and there's no talk of a possible reversal, maybe, trying to readdress the balance back in the favour of us. And you've got so many industries, haven't you? I mean, you've got the NHS, you've got taxi drivers, for want of a better word, you've got emergency services, you've got staffing in other shops. We've allowed them all to be taken over, I suppose is the best way of putting it, by these individuals from other places. And if you suddenly remove them all tomorrow, then would everything grind to a halt, I wonder? But I do think really that there needs to be probably a hard break on those coming in, at least for the medium term, so we can determine who is actually here, who needs to be here, who needs to go, and try and readdress that balance as urgently as we possibly can. There's another piece here. Farage says Reform UK isn't anti-immigration. This is a bit of an old date here, but I pulled this up. He says Reform UK isn't anti-immigration and will never have dealings with far-right campaigner Tommy Robinson, who's released from prison, repeatedly called for this year by Elon Musk. My brand of politics is non-sectarian, non-racist, Farage told Bloomberg's Caroline Hepker and William Shaw, adding that he has no problem with migrants who bring high skills, pay taxes and integrate. So that's the position he held right at that moment in time. And you could see all the rhetoric going on, particularly with what happened in Trafalgar Square the other day, with the prayer, where I think it was the iftar, wasn't it, that happened at the end, and you heard what he said. So where's it going to go? I mean, me personally, I believe that Reform now are pretty much uniparty Mark 2.0 because of the people that have come into it. I don't believe for one second that Reform is going to fix anything. I really don't. But there are thousands of people out there that are counting on them that are going to go the other way and truly believe it. We will have to see what happens. Now, I'm going to show you this. This is a recent opinion poll. Fieldwork, 13th to 16th of March, more in common. You can see that Reform are running away with it at 28%. Closely followed by the Conservatives and Labour and all the others. Now, this is slightly out of date because, as you know, Restore Britain are now a registered political party in every sense of the word. So hopefully a certain amount of traffic and a certain amount of traction will start heading in that direction, and we'll see some real meaningful change down the road, and them actually start coming up in the figures. Because at the end of the day, Restore Britain should mean restore England, restore Wales, restore Scotland, restore Northern Ireland, the people within, and detach us from any external influences or any external problems which are going to have a detrimental effect on the state, our country, and everything that's happened to it since, and a great deal of reversal. You know, at the end of the day, if you come here, and I'll leave you with this thought, if you come here legally, you settle, you get a job, you start a family, you have a house or a home to call your own, you pay your way, you pay your bills, and you contribute something to the economy, then there shouldn't be a problem with you any more than there's a problem with me. There are many people like that here, and Restore Britain doesn't have a problem with that. That's very well documented. But if you come here on a boat or other means illegally, and it's very unclear what your intentions are, or alternatively, when you get here, it's made very clear what your intentions are, you should be removed. It's a very clear, cut and dry episode, isn't it? Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share my stuff. I'll talk to you soon. Toodaloo.